All right, this is a Fantasy Sports Boss with another Crisis Point video, Crisis Point Monday, where we go over the disappointing bust players from Fantasy Football Week 3. And today, Jonathan Taylor. Yes, Jonathan Taylor, the number one pick in Fantasy Football Leagues, the majority of the number one picks in leagues this past summer, has reached Crisis Point standards. Now, before I get any further, make sure you hit the subscribe, hit the like button. Almost at 500 subscribers. So since I started this about 5 weeks ago, so let's get that number up and more videos coming. But anyway, as far as Jonathan Taylor, like I said, he was a consensus number one pick. I own him in one of my leagues. Was thrilled to get him. There was a fleeting thought of maybe taking Christian McCaffrey or maybe taking Cooper Kupp or Justin Jefferson. But I went with Taylor. And after week one, it certainly looked great. 27 fantasy points, 161 yards rushing, and a touchdown. But over the last 2 weeks, very, very disappointing numbers. Only 7.3 points 2 weeks ago against the Jacksonville Jaguars. 9 carries for 54 yards in a 24-0 shutout, which was one of the most piss-poor performances I've seen an NFL team put forth in a long time, talking about the Indianapolis Colts. And then yesterday, in a 20-17 win over the Chiefs, which is great in terms of winning the game for the Colts, 21 carries, so the workload was there, but only 71 yards, 12.10 fantasy points. So for Jonathan Taylor, now as somebody who owns Jonathan Taylor, I've zeroed in on him and watched pretty much every one of his games, every snap of his games, and I have to tell you, there's been very few big plays. He, like I said, week one was fantastic. The last 2 weeks, not so much. And even for the season, he only averaged 3.4 a carry yesterday. And what I'm starting to notice now is that Matt Ryan is such a sitting duck and his arm strength is diminished that opposing defenses don't fear him. They don't fear him throwing the football down the field. So what are they doing? They're stacking the box with 8 men up at the line of scrimmage, and Jonathan Taylor is finding very little room to operate. He's not getting to the second level with any sort of consistency. The Colts offensive line, on paper, one of the better units coming into the season, they have struggled. Matt Ryan's been hit constantly. I know he is a sitting duck back there. He's been sacked a lot, though. Been under siege way too much, and it's certainly hurting Jonathan Taylor. And I think the problem with Taylor is that opposing defense are going to continue to stack the box and make Matt Ryan beat them. And it's a smart plan. Taylor clearly is the best player on this team. If Matt Ryan can't deal with a rush, can't step up in the pocket, can't evade a rush, which he can't at his advanced age, then there's no reason for defenses to change. So while Jonathan Taylor is a generational talent, he's going to have big games, they may not be as plentiful as they were a year ago just because of the fact that Ryan is not being respected in the passing game. Now, Michael Pittman is not so much of a deep threat. He's more of an intermediate guy who creates after the catch, very physical receiver. The 2 tight ends, Mo Alley-Cox and Jelani Woods, same thing. So they don't really have pure deep threats on this team. They don't have a Tyreek Hill. They don't have anybody that could take the top off the defense. So again, there's no incentive for opposing defenses not to stack the box against Jonathan Taylor. And that's the problem that we might see going forward. Now, ultimately, I think he's going to be okay. But will he justify that running back one, that number one overall fantasy draft spot? That's certainly up for debate. And at this point, it doesn't look promising. But again, there's a lot of season to go. Let's see how this plays out. All right. So if you haven't already subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification button. Going to do some more injury videos later, some more crisis point videos. And as far as Jonathan Taylor, you have to stick with him. Just got to be patient. I think the numbers will be there in the end. But again, may not be as plentiful as it was a year ago.